Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 78 of the 40k Badcast. My name is Dan Boyd, and I am joined, as always, by Sunflower Seed McPeanut.
I'm just a salt of the earth kind of guy.
That's okay. The reason I have a reason for name game this time.
Okay.
Sometimes I don't, but this time I do.
Usually you don't.
I in the last 2 weeks, I've gotten not one, but two new bird feeders and placed them in my backyard.
That's wonderful.
So one of the things that are in the mix of the wild bird food that we have are sunflowers, and there are some peanuts in there too for the larger birds. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. Mm-hmm. This mix, it smells fucking delicious.
Yeah, no, this sounds wonderful.
It's
I'd be all over
sunflower seeds, some peanuts, just not a whole lot, but then like cashew chunks, and then what looks like pistachios, but not like good pistachios, but like pistachios that maybe didn't make the cut over at the old sorting facility. Mm-hmm. But you crack open this bag. Well, it's in a bucket now, but it started off in a bag. You crack open this bag, and I was like, damn. This fucking bird food smells good. You're
just like, I just bought 5 pounds of trail mix. Time to mix in some M&Ms and we're in business.
M&Ms and raisins, and let's get fucking ready to go. But yeah, so the birds are eating well at old Casa de Boyd.
I'm jealous of those birds.
There's a lot of them. Sometimes, okay, so the squirrels, as we know, are a scourge. And not really. I mean, the gray squirrel here in a Piedmont area of Virginia is native, and this is where they're from. They're not an introduced species. They're just living where they're living. Now I know in the UK, our American gray squirrel is taking over.
Ooh.
How's
that feel, colonists?
That's exactly what I'm fucking saying. Like, okay, because we've got so many bird species and mammal species and even insects. Here's something that you probably didn't know.
I probably didn't.
Earthworms. Not native to this continent.
What?
Not native to this continent.
Then what decomposers did we have? Not
earthworms. Earthworms were introduced by the colonists when they brought over agriculture from the old world.
Huh.
Isn't that interesting?
That is interesting. I just learned something today. Thank you, Dan.
So it's not just the racism and brutal tactics of colonial oppression that colonists brought over, but they brought over all sorts of different fun things. So when I hear about an American species running wild in Europe or Asia, and this isn't good. I know it's not good, but it's a little hard to feel bad.
Understandable.
Anyways, and that's the name game for episode 78. That's going to be a long fucking cut in the name game supercut for 2020.
Yeah, all 3 minutes of you explaining what kind of beautiful trail mix you're giving your squirrels.
I'm going to hate doing this. All right, future Dan, fuck you. Deal with it. Let's move on and get into the aspects where we talk about what's on our hobby radar. And as we always do, we're going to start with hobby progress, and I'll start. So I made a mistake.
It's okay. You're human.
After last episode, I finished my first 5 infiltrators, which are great. Love them. And then immediately I started in on the what I'm calling the infiltrator specialists, which are the Helix Adept and the Comms guy. He doesn't have a name.
Radioman, yeah.
He's just a comms guy. So I did that. I started in on, I got like the first couple steps done, and then the next day, the Indomitus box showed up at my house.
Oh, oops.
And I was like, fuck.
Owned.
Because I don't want to like start a project and then not finish it.
Yeah, that's how you get a lot of projects that never get finished ever.
Right. So the Indomitus box came, and I was like, fuck, I have to dive into this somewhat. So I built a bunch of stuff, and I ended up basing and priming the Eradicators just because they're real fucking good.
Yep.
So the Eradicators are what I'm doing next. I'm almost done with these infiltrator specialists. I'm very excited to work on the Eradicators, and after that, I've got a I caught a line on another group of eradicators from our friend Chris Stover, who I think I mentioned this last episode, but I'm going to be working on them right afterwards. But here's the thing. So I've built most of the Indomitus box already. I didn't build these Assault Intercessors because they were all on their own sprues, and I didn't build the Outriders because they're all on their own sprues.
Okay, so you just worked on breaking down the big sprues.
Right, I broke down the big sprue, and then I did the characters just for fun. Because I was like, I want to see what the characters look like. Holy shit, man. These models they fucking rule.
Hot take, Indomitus good.
So you have a copy of Indomitus, right?
I do.
And I know that I've seen some work in progress photos of your Assault Intercessors.
Yes.
Now, I'm very excited about these because I realized something as I was looking in my display cabinet that two of my Intercessor Sergeants that I have made Power Fist versions for.
Yeah.
Because there's only so many arms that I could use, like two of them don't have bolt rifles.
Oh, okay. So you can pull some double duty.
In game, if I'm using them, just like if I'm using the Power Fist guys, I'm like, they got bolt rifles, and the opponent's like, whatever, cool. But they can double dip now.
Nice.
As Assault Intercessor Sergeants with Power Fist. I don't even know if that's a correct option, but still, if it is, then they're going to double dip.
That's fucking cool, man.
So I realized that, and I was like, I'm a fucking genius. I didn't even plan this at all, but I'm so smart and good at everything. So
this is your 5-dimensional chess game you've been playing since 2017 or whatever.
Against myself.
Yeah, you never lose.
Yeah, so these
or
characters,
never win. I forget how it works.
Let me just touch on these Indomitus characters. They're so fucking good, dude. I cannot wait to jump in on especially the Relic Shield Captain. This fucking guy speaks to me. There is a lot of scroll work. I don't know what I'm going to write on it. I'm a little bit anxious about that. I'm going to have to fucking hit up Wikipedia for some bird names. So, that's always kind of a chore, but looking forward to that. The what's it called? The Chaplain. Oh my God, this fucking Chaplain.
He's actually like a remake of a 2nd edition Chaplain, like the mechanical side face and everything. Like it's very close to that dude. And I really like the look of him. Yeah.
The Blade Guard vets, the 3 squads, the 3 guys in the squad. Oh man, I want another set of them real bad.
Yeah.
They've already teased a multi-part kit coming out for them. So I'll probably just wait till that kit comes out. But
same.
Those things look fucking cool. So yeah, very excited to get into the rest of this. But I got to get through these Eradicators because, I'm not immune to the lure of good units.
I mean, you proxied just so you could try them out last episode when we were talking about this stuff.
And they were fucking worth it.
They sound like they do work. So why not actually get the actual models together?
Yeah. So Scott Horace also gave me a Redemptor.
Oh, okay.
And I'm gonna put that together and paint it fucking cool. Because I want 2 Redemptors because I like my big boys.
Yeah, why wouldn't you want honorable brother Thiccums to join his pal honorable brother dummy Thiccums?
There's a lot of jokes in there, but instead of making them, I'm gonna urge you to share your hobby progress with the class.
Okay. Well, similar to how you were like, I'm going to start doing this thing. Oh no, Indomitus is here. I started working on, after I finished those Napoleonic dudes the last episode, I started working on the second group of 3 Demigryph Knights, hoping that I'd finish them before I got Indomitus, and I did not.
Nope.
So when they were like around probably 80% done is when I got my box, and I just built the 5 Assault Intercessors and the Outrider bikes. And while I did
you did the opposite.
Well, I did. Well, the thing is, I had to wait until it was like not humid as balls outside so I could prime them. So I got back to my Demigryphs after building a few dudes.
Oh, it's funny to hear a Bostonian talk about humidity.
It's still not. It can still be 90.
What fucking humidity is up there.
We just had a fucking hurricane pass through here. It was like 95% humidity. The air was physically thick to walk through.
I mean, so did we, fella.
I know you're giving me a real you adopted the humidity. I was born in it, raised by it, molded by it sort of speech here.
I was struggling to remember that line. actually, so I can use it. But
my only disappointment is that I didn't break out my like incredibly dated, half-remembered Bane impression for it. But I'm gonna fucking live with my mistakes.
That movie sucked. That movie was so bad.
We've had this discussion before. There's elements of that movie I like, but it is definitely my least favorite of the Nolan Batmans.
I was like the first Batman Begins, which I mean, good title. Mm-hmm. That was good.
Fitting, yeah.
I don't think it was great, but it was good.
I think it was, yeah, I'd say it's above average superhero movie.
Then Dark Knight, of course.
Fucking rules.
And then Shithead Batman, the last one. Like, maybe I'm stupid. I definitely am stupid. But I was so confused by that entire movie. I could not follow the fucking plot. Nothing made sense to me. None of the characters' motivations were anything close to reality. And I was just like, fuck this. This movie sucks. And I saw it in theater and everything.
So the thing is, although the third one is trying to do way too many things at once and resultantly is very confusing and has way too many villains and way too many plot threads to try to tie up, it does have Batman going, "This isn't a car!" And there's that one YouTube video where he flies off to the Mortal Kombat theme, and that makes the entire movie worth it in my mind. But let's bring this back to Warhammer models here.
I mean, the YouTube video wasn't in the movie.
It wasn't in the movie, but without that movie, there would not be that YouTube video.
This seems like a circular argument.
I'm not saying it isn't.
All right, sorry.
All right. It's fine. It's fine.
You were talking about Demigriff Knights before I so rudely interrupted you.
It's fine. It's fucking whatever, dude. It's our show. We can bullshit all we want. 3 Demigriff Knights, painted them up. Same as the previous 3 Demigriff Knights. I like those models a lot. They've got some really nasty gaps underneath their armor plates where there's just straight up a fucking hole that just goes into a void. But whatever, no one's going to see it, especially when they're ranked up in the big brick of square bases.
There you go.
So
I did notice that on Discord you were having some trouble figuring out your base rim scheme.
Yeah, so the issue is right now the basing for that Empire army is the bases are Steel Legion Drab, dry brushed with Talon Sand and Carrick Stone, which is like a nice multi-layered sort of earth color. It's not like a muddy earth. It's kind of like a wastelandier, pastury earth.
A dry earth.
Yeah, I'd say it's a dry earth without being quite as like dark as the ones my ultras have.
Right.
But the base rims have also been graveyard earth because I started painting this army a long time ago.
Yeah.
And I like how it looks while I'm doing it, and then once I like finish it, I'm like, oh, the basing kind of looks very samey, and they look good when they're like really ranked up together in a big old brick. But when they're not, I don't really like that lack of contrast. And I started seeing like, what if I used like a dark brown for the base rims, because that's what I usually use, and it looked pretty good. And then I think our friend Greg said like, fuck repainting base rims of 200 models. And he was very right to say that, because I don't want to repaint the base rims of over 200 models, because this is a big fucking horde army.
Yeah.
And if I made this decision at like the start of the project, that'd be one thing, but I'm fucking 3 years and 215 models or so deep in this thing, and I'm not gonna fucking repaint the base rims.
Yeah, as much as I want to taunt you about black base rims in this moment, and believe me, Campbell, I do.
I know you always do.
Repainting that many fucking base rims would, as they say in the biz, suck shit.
Yeah, absolutely. It would be a similar like playing the long game against myself, trying to waste as much of my own time as possible. But that's okay. I can say I lost this battle against myself for now.
You know what you can do? Here's an idea. When you completely zero out your backlog.
Yeah, that's actually what I was thinking. Once I'm done with my backlog, which is any minute now, I can go back and repaint the base rims. While I'm at it, I might as well just magnetize their feet so I can put them in round bases, you know? Why not go the whole mile?
As long as those round bases also have black base rims, then...
No, the base rims have to be completely different. The basing has to be totally different schemes, depending if I'm playing on a winter battlefield or a summer battlefield.
Okay, I mean, if you want to go that deep, you can. I wouldn't.
Absolutely. Why wouldn't I?
Wow, we're having fun today, aren't we?
We're having fun, you and me. It's like you're just catching up with my good buddy Dan.
What else have you been working on?
Okay, well, I did. I built those 3 bikes, the 3 Outrider bikes.
Oh, you built them?
Yeah, I built the first 3 bikes.
Ooh, I haven't built mine yet. How'd they come together?
Mostly putting them together is pretty all right. It's a little tricky lining up the wrist with the like handlebar hand, but it's not, if you're just, as long as you watch it, you're going to be fine.
Okay.
The problem is remember how they really went all out preserving like the cool old details of these models that really reminisce to those 90s kits, up to and including the big fucking seam running right down the middle of the model.
Oh, so fuck no.
Right down the middle of the motorcycle. It's not so bad on the back, but on the front is this big, obvious like seam. Even using plastic glue, even like holding it tight, even using like a gap filler after the fact, it's still fucking there.
So that's going to have to be a green stuff snake job for each one.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit of green stuff, a little bit of filing to get that nice and smooth, which really fucking sucks because they look so good. But it's I don't care for that. It's got me thinking that when I do a squad of these for Black Templars, I might just take some spare Empire shields and stick them over those.
That's not a bad idea, actually.
Yeah. Yeah, because the biggest part is like right above the cowling where the guns are, where that's really obvious, and I could just stick a shield there and paint some cool heraldry on there. Because why would I miss the chance to paint more heraldry on a model?
Yeah, why make a difficult model even? Why miss the opportunity? Here we go. I'm getting it. Why miss the opportunity to make an already difficult model even more difficult?
I just don't want to disappoint myself is all.
I did notice that the legs of the rider were part of the bike when you're building it.
Yeah, at first I was wondering if I'd be able to paint them separately from the bikes, but it's not really a viable option. You might be able to leave the backpacks off, but still take kind of cramming it in there.
I feel like the upper body you leave separate for painting, and then the rest of it you just fucking go for it.
You sort of can, but they are a bit more open than the old 2nd edition / 5th edition recut
So
ones.
are you painting them totally built?
Yeah.
You're a wild man.
It ain't the first time. But the thing I'm actually working on like right now at the moment is the first 5 assault intercessors.
Yes.
I gave the sergeant a reaver bolt pistol and a thunderhammer. I don't care if the war scroll says it isn't legal, but remember, intercessors didn't used to have warrior options at all, and then the sergeants got them later on. So I figure assault intercessors may follow suit.
Maybe.
And even the thing is, if they don't, like the people I play with aren't going to give a shit. If I'm like, this is a thunderhammer, I paid 16 points for it. Who cares?
Yeah.
I'd say the details are a little softer and shallower in some bits than they are on the multi-part kits.
Okay.
Like if you look at the assault intercessor bolt pistol next to a reaver bolt pistol, there is a visible detail difference, and the guns even look a little bit different, but they still look really fucking cool, and I'm having a blast painting these guys.
That's good. I want to get into them at some point. They're a little bit down the list because I'm going to paint the good stuff first. But
I know I understand why you'd want to paint the good stuff, but I'm like, ooh, more rank and file infantry. Don't mind if I do.
Are you integrating any heraldry into this squad?
Oh, yeah. So the heraldry, which of course I got a back banner for the sergeant too, because all my sergeants have to have back banners. It's
Fuck.
Which means I'm like sourcing. I'm starting to like run out of these things,
Yeah.
and I'm like using back banners that I kind of fucked up during other conversions, and I'm kind of like trying to patch over them a little bit. I might end up having to green stuff some back banners soon because I've got a bunch of the 3rd edition like crossbar backpack things.
Oh,
if you remember those.
You're saying you're making the banner itself out of green stuff?
I might have to do that for the next one, but right now, let's see. Their heraldry is a one field. It's like halved. One side is black with a white diagonal stripe, and the other side is black and red checkerboard. And then all their weapons have black, red, white chevroning.
Jeez, dude.
Yeah, aren't they like 19 points a man? Who gives a shit?
Yeah,
They kind of look fly as hell.
God. I can't wait to see when they're done.
No, I'm pretty far along. I'm on the edging stage right now, and I'm near completion.
Yeah, that's fun.
Mm-hmm.
That's
we have fun on this show.
A fun little bit right there.
Mm-hmm.
All right,
bringing it back.
Did you play any games?
Actually, yes. So, first off, more recently, I did play a game of Blitz Bowl with our pal Eric Beers.
Yeah.
And I am proud to say I finally won a fucking game of Blitz Bowl. It took like 10 games, but I finally won one. It just required me playing Ogres, who have a Ogres who have a fan set of rules and are probably pretty imbalanced resultantly.
Fuck you, Baltimore! Sorry, I was a little late on that one.
That's okay. And he took halflings, and I just kept fucking punching his halflings. I ran away with the lead early on. I never let go. And I know Jody really wants to play with me, and I am sorry. We'll find a time to play Blitz Bowl soon. I just know he'll kick my ass too, so I was trying to put that off a little bit. But
Beersy's been trying to get me to play Blitz Bowl with him.
Yeah, he was talking to me. He was like, I'm worried that Dan's going to play this. He's going to be like, it's not Blood Bowl. I hate it. And I'm going to feel real bad. And that's kind of my worry too. But I think because of how lightweight that game is, I think you can probably play it and be like, this is different, but has some themes similar. And I think you'll enjoy it. It's easy playing. I think it's one of the better made and worse supported Games Workshop games in recent memory. But I dig it a lot.
I'm not going to hate it.
I mean, you might.
I mean, hate like indicates like some sort of like deep emotional reaction to it. And I can't imagine that the game of Blitz Bowl could provoke that from me unless it like part of the rules were like you had to, praise Hitler before every dice roll.
Well, it's like the most important rule before every game, Dan must punch himself in the nuts. It's like, that's really weirdly calling you out, isn't it?
Yeah, that would be a weird thing to add to that game. I hope that's not in there.
I'll leave that up to you to find out.
You get to skip that section.
Yeah, it's the optional advanced rules.
Because you're not me, but me specifically.
Yeah. I'm about to say it has to name your like full legal name with a date, with a birth date, maybe even the social security number in there too, to really drive it home.
Well, I don't want to talk about my social security number on the show, but my birthday is September 26th. So remember that, listeners.
Put that in your calendar.
Put that on your calendar.
So, and while that was fun, the more sort of momentous game I got to get in was my first in-person Warhammer game since before COVID. So it was Dylan's birthday weekend before last. Time's really tricky these days.
So not September 26th.
No, not September 26th.
Let's be clear. That's the only birthday that matters.
No, it was July 24th, which is marked on my calendar as Dylan, you son of a bitch. So I played against his dwarfs with my Dave to
Darkness. I get that reference.
Yeah, I'm glad you do.
That's right. That's right, fuckos. I get references.
Also to films from the 1980s. Most of my calendar is just jokes to myself from myself, so I can look back and be like, that was cute.
Well, Campbell, if you don't laugh at your jokes, I mean, come on. Who will?
No, yeah, exactly. No one else is gonna, so I got to do this for my own enjoyment. So we set up on my patio. I put out my Firmer Terra Alpha.
Here's a question
table.
for you, and I'm sorry I keep interrupting you.
It's okay. I think I know the question. I hope it's the question I think it's going to be.
What happened to the Yellow Jackets?
Oh, okay. I thought you were going to ask, did you have any natty bows in your patio? And we unfortunately don't have access to National Bohemian.
Fuck you, Baltimore!
So the Yellow Jackets that were in one gutter were exterminated the day before, and then 2 days later, they moved into all my other gutters. So my backyard is a fucking wasp hellhole.
So what you're saying is that they were like, oh, you think you can stomp us out, you motherfucker? Well, now it's our house.
It is my house, and although my siding is all asbestos, I think, so if I set my house on fire to kill them, I'll probably be fine, but I don't really want to do that. Fortunately, an exterminator should come by tomorrow, and that'll hopefully kill them all, but that's neither here nor there. I really hope they don't fucking come back. I want to use my fucking yard. So, anywho, broke out the alpha game table for the first time since like my last apartment.
Yeah.
Since, I've had a dining room table here, and we played Age of Sigmar. We maintained like at least 6 foot social distancing the entire time, which is pretty easy with Age of Sigmar since it's not like as, true line of sighty and getting all in there an individual model like with 40k. We even had a little station set up with a beer cooler, hand sanitizer, bug spray, and sunscreen. So it's like we are prepared for this fucking experience. It was 1,650 points, which is a weird.
Did one of your moms come by with some orange slices or something?
And did bring out cake, so that's as close as we get.
Oh, yes.
The lemonade was not served, unfortunately.
Okay.
So it was 1,650 points, which is a solid force for Dylan's dwarves and a mess of units for me, where I use every Dave to Darkness model I own, which means a lot of suboptimal shit, but means tons of characters, which is actually really good for that army. The game had 5 objectives, it was a weird one. So you have 5 objectives, and they're numbered. And if you have objectives 1 and 3, you score bonus points, or 2 and 4, you score bonus points. But if you only have 1 and 4, you get some points, but no extra bonus. It's kind of a weird setup, but it's kind of cool. And it's kind of like one in the center, one each cardinal direction.
Right.
I got first turn, and I enacted this really bold plan where I moved my whole army up into charge range from his army so none of my cavalry can get their charge bonuses, which he was not expecting.
I opened the game with a strong move of losing the game.
Well, the game was an absolute war of attrition because it was like all these dwarves with like 3 up and 4 up, occasionally 2 up saves because they can even like buff them with some runic magic shit, versus my dudes who all have like multiple wounds and were rerolling their armor saves because they're Mark of Tzeentch. So there's just this like long grinding war of attrition in the middle. I like magic some of my dudes onto some objectives to get some bonus points early on. My fucking bastard chariot doesn't get moved fast enough to get to his artillery, so charges a bunch of dwarf slayers. And if you know anything from old Warhammer Fantasy, you know dwarf slayers kind of lethal. Well, in Age of Sigmar, they suck, but when you kill them, they cause mortal wounds back at you. So my chariot got to kill some slayers and get owned by the dudes he killed, which is extremely fitting for this dumb shit. I had 3 wizards who just kind of like rolled like butt for their powers, and when they didn't, the dwarves denied them. But among this grinding melee, these disappointing wizards, this disappointing chariot, these knights who get charged, they can't actually get their bonuses off, I have my Chaos Lord and Karkadrak, and this dude is a fucking blender. He has all the attacks in the world. He heals himself when he kills just about anything with some of his attacks. So he'd get like hit by a dwarf cannon, stab a few like iron breakers, and get all his wounds back. Dylan challenges him with his Warden King, which is like a slayer, like monster hunter character. He causes 1 dude to my Warden Karkadrak. My Warden Karkadrak promptly murders him. I just like... The Warden Karkadrak takes fire from the cannon, and the organ gun takes like 1 wound at a time, gets demonic boons, so he's even harder to kill, and just marches through his army. And by the end of turn 5, there were like 4 models left in either of our armies, and I was able to take it away with a 20-16 win by holding on to enough objectives at the right time. And it was a super fun game that took like 6 hours, because it was, I think, both of our first times like... It was our first time hanging out, obviously, since quarantine, and like my first time playing Warhammer since quarantine started. So it was just like a nice, long, protracted hang. It was a wonderful time. And fortunately, at that time, no yellow jackets were there to murder me.
How do you spell Karkadrak?
Karkadrak. He's in the Start Collecting Slave to Darkness box.
Oh, okay. That's why I can't find him.
Yeah. This is not the first time.
We've talked about this. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to find it. There he is. Because I was like, what the fuck is a Karkadrak?
It's just a big angry murder gator with a dude riding on top of it with a cool axe and a cool sword.
A very good way to describe this beast. Oh, he's got axe and sword. Fuck.
Yeah. Well, the axe does a bunch. I think the axe is the thing that brings wounds back, or the sword is. It doesn't super matter. He just has all the attacks in the world.
Oh, he's got a Stormcast head.
Yeah, just dangling off him.
That's good. That's a good model.
Yeah, I love this model. It's like low key one of my. I won't even say it's low key. It's like one of my favorite models they come out with recently, and it snaps together. The inside is completely hollow, which makes building it a bit harrowing. But the sculpt is great. It's pretty easy to actually get to all the detail on them, despite how much of it there is. And like I did some freehand on the Cape of Mine because it's like a nice big flat surface. I love this fucking model.
I bet these Chaos Warriors get pretty hot.
Well, they're all from the north. Well, they were all from the north. I don't know where the fuck they're
wearing
from.
Like heavy plate, and they all have like fur or leather capes, and it seems like they'd be pretty uncomfortable. Maybe that's why they're so mad.
Yeah, they're just really sweaty.
Yeah,
like these guys don't smell bad because of any perfidious chaos magic. They just don't have deodorant, and it's really hot in there.
Yeah, deodorant wasn't invented yet, right?
Yeah, it wasn't invented yet in the fictional timeline this exists in.
Oh, here's a picture. You sent me a picture of your Chaos Lord and Karkadrak, who looks great.
Yeah, thank you.
Big surprise there.
Yeah.
Oh, some freehand on the cloak, too.
Yeah.
Very nice.
It's fun.
Well, you've done a great job.
Yep, thank you.
And I hope you're proud.
I am very proud, and the fact that he kicks ass in game makes me feel even better.
I hope you're happy.
I am. Thank you. Did you play any games?
I played one.
Cool, tell me about it.
My friend Scott came over to my house. We had a socially distanced game of Warhammer 40,000. He It's funny. I had bought him lunch last time we played, so he bought me lunch this time.
Nice.
A banh mi sandwich.
Ooh.
Which, if y'all have never had a banh mi, I suggest that you go and fucking get one.
There's a food truck in Boston called Bone Me. It's BONMI, but I just call it Bone Me every single time.
Yeah, bone me. Love it. So
it's okay.
He came over. It was funny. We sat at the head and foot of the dining room table to eat lunch. So we were, properly socially distanced, and we were wearing masks the whole time. So it was nice. He brought his NIDS for a game of 40k. So Tyranids. Mm-hmm. Here's the thing. They kind of blow. The missions and the secondaries are almost like purposefully designed to screw over Tyranids. So he brought, a bunch of monsters and a bunch of psychers. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh, wow. Monsters and psychers, huh? So that means whenever I kill a hive tyrant, I get 8 victory points.
Oh, Christ.
Because it's a character psyker and a monster of more than 10 wounds. I don't mind if I fucking do.
This is my army of victory point balloons. Please don't pop them.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much what happened. It was Scott's, the best part of this, Scott's first game of 40k since the 1990s.
Oh, wow.
And Scott, great guy. He's a work friend who's become a real friend. Love talking to him, talk to him all the time. So I totally kicked his ass, as we do on the show.
Yeah. You have to assert your dominance or else they can't be your friends.
People we admire and like a whole lot. There's only one way to deal with them on the battlefield, and that's crush them mercilessly. Mm-hmm. So I did. But I think a lot of that was a function of, Scott hasn't played in 20 years, and just that 9th edition is not kind to Tyranids.
I mean... I won't say Tyranids have really been treated well since maybe 4th.
Well, they had
they had their moment at the start of 8th before the rule of 3 was implemented. But even then, that wasn't Tyranids so much as it was just flying hive tyrants.
Right, who were quite good. Nids, I don't know, man. It's a weird place because your most powerful characters will be giving up 8 points to every time they're killed to most armies in a match play game. Now, in a narrative game, a crusade game, when we start getting crusades going, when it's safer to do so, this stuff doesn't matter as much.
Yeah,
your units that are going to bleed victory points, you can take them without worrying about them because agendas don't work like that. And agendas, of course, are the secondary objective analog in crusade missions. We got to have a talk about crusade one of these episodes, man, because crusade fucking rules.
I haven't gotten to read that part of the rules yet. I'm still working my way through it, but it looks cool.
Can I assign you some homework?
Please do.
Because I want to talk about crusade. By next episode, you are familiar with the crusade rules.
Cool. Thank you for this homework assignment. I need some structure in my life right now. I will take this to heart.
Okay. I'm glad you're agreeing to this because I'm actually really fucking excited about crusade.
Cool. Expect an essay in your inbox that will be in 14-point font with really, really, really thick margins.
Excellent.
Maximum 2 pages.
Thank you.
Going full high school with this one. 3 paragraphs.
Well, like I was saying, the match play rules don't favor NIDs too much. And I kind of don't know what the answer is for NID players out there. If you have any suggestions, Tyranid players, please write in to contact@40kbadcast.com and so we can share on the marketplace of ideas. To me, it seems like you either need to heavily lean into psychers because just having a few psychers, I mean, they're going to get murked, and then somebody will take the Abhor the Witch secondary who doesn't have any psychers, and it's just like, here, have all the points. Mm-hmm. Or you lean into monsters heavily because, you take a few monsters and you're still giving up points. So, I don't know. The old One-Eye, Scott brought old One-Eye. Old One-Eye did not make it into combat, but he's untargetable via shooting if he's within 3 inches of another friendly Carnifex.
Because he's a character with under so many wounds? Or is it like
no, he's a special rule.
Oh, cool.
So I have a feeling that old One-Eye could be pretty good if under the right circumstances.
Yeah.
So I urged Scott to build 2 more Carnifexes, and next time come with 6 and Old One-Eye and see what happens.
Dude, so. I remember when you'd have 3 Carnifexes in an army, and that was a lot. And now there's you just take up multiple broods of them. You couldn't take broods of them when I started playing. And they keep making bigger bugs, but Carnifexes are one of my favorite models I think they've ever made. So
they're so good.
Pretty happy to see more of them on the table.
Yeah, you can take 9. They can come in groups of 3, so you can just here's 9 Carnifexes and Old One-Eye, who's a Carnifex, so 10 Carnifexes.
Cool.
That seems like it might be difficult to deal with.
Yeah, it's just a wall of chitin. That's cool.
Just charge it right down the table.
Just going to spend $1,000 on Carnifex models.
Yeah, Scott was saying that he's having trouble finding a lot of the models that he wants to use because they're all out of stock online. All the good stuff.
I think they're reboxing everything. I've seen some. I saw some picture leaked of with a new box art where it went back from. Right now, all the boxes are just guys in a void, and this was kind of going back to the stuff where they have context, where it's some dudes crawling through some ruins or whatever, which I prefer over just dudes in a void, unless that void is a blue to white gradient in a bright red box from 1995.
Right.
And I think they're just kind of they're going to be rolling those out pretty soon. That's probably one of the reasons why things are out of stock right now.
I would love new boxes of just about everything. Fuck it.
Yeah. Got to have the updated War Scrolls in there anyway.
That seems fun. Mm-hmm. Not War Scrolls. Data sheets.
Data sheets.
Wrong game, idiot.
Fuck. Owned again.
Fuck. Well,
gonna go outside and surrender myself to the Yellow Jackets.
Oh, don't do that, Campbell. Ugh. Don't be like the end of the movie,
The Wicker Man, starring one Nicolas Cage.
Yeah, that okay. Yeah, no, My Girl.
Oh,
with Macaulay Culkin.
Oh no,
remember that one?
Yeah, he's allergic to bees and they sting him and he dies.
Yep.
Yeah, cool. Oh, there's cicada hawks in the graveyard behind my house right now, and those are fucking terrifying.
Do not fuck with those.
I don't want to fuck with those.
No, don't fuck with. They're not dangerous.
Apparently, they sting. It hurts like a motherfucker.
No, it doesn't. Their sting is not made to drive off humans. It is to stun cicadas. They are docile. They will only sting if they feel endangered. They're huge. Yes. They're loud. Yes. They look fearsome, but you are in no danger around cicada killers. Okay.
Just when I ran into one and it started flying up and going towards me, I just tunnel visioned and got the fuck out of there.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about those. I'm telling you the truth.
Cool.
I had one in my house. We had the windows open during the springtime. It came in. I snagged it with a cup and my hand, and I just let it go.
Jesus Christ.
It was on my hand, and it wasn't stinging me because they're docile.
Okay.
They're not like pick them up and pet them docile, but they are not aggressive.
Still don't think bees or bee type creatures should come that large, but okay. I'm glad it was docile. Tell me more about the game, and we can move on.
Well, unlike the docile cicada killers, the Tyranids are quite mean. And I don't know, dude. It was fun to hang out with Scott because we hadn't done it since actually, right when the pandemic started in mid-March in the United States. Scott and I played a game of Necromunda on my porch.
Oh, okay. Yep, I remember that.
And then Danielle came home from school and was like, hey, my school is closing, because she's a teacher, for the foreseeable future. We're going to do distance learning. And so we got that news. Scott was at the house when she came home.
Okay.
So that was the last time we'd seen each other in March. So that was 3.5 months, almost 4 months since we'd seen each other and played a game. And yeah, Nids, I feel like they're just in a bad space. The game was fun. He's such a nice guy. He's great to hang out with, but I felt kind of bad because it was not close. Though his Hive Guard did very, very well.
Yeah, I know Hive Guard are pretty good right now because they were sold out before this. Yeah,
the Exocrine and the Hive Guard were his MVPs for sure. The Exocrine's got a giant plasma cannon, and they did some fucking work. But the rest of his army, he might have to go back to the old drawing board. Mm-hmm. All right, let's move on to new stuff. There's quite a bit of new stuff, and some of it is very exciting. So first off, Necrons and Space Marine Codexes come out in October.
Happy birthday to me.
I I sent off my Indomitus Necrons because, let's be honest, I was never going to fucking paint them.
You weren't going to give them to your brother?
No, he doesn't care about Necrons. He likes Space Marines.
Okay.
I sent them to Jules, our friend.
Oh, cool.
Because Jules has a Necron army. He does a bunch of lights in his armies too.
Yes, he does.
He goes very hard in the paint, making his armies look really cool. So I was just talking to him about writing a Necro Monday article for Goonhammer, and I was like, "Hey, did you get an Indomitus box?" He's like, "No, I'll pick one up later or something. I'm not too concerned about it." And I was like, "I'll fucking send you my Necron half."
Nice.
Just because, we're friends and we do weekly work together, and sometimes he carries me, sometimes I carry him, but I felt like, just paying it forward a little bit.
Nice. That's real sweet of you.
So, Necrons and Marines, new codexes out in October. Very excited to see those. We've already seen some leaked pages, Campbell.
Yeah. Well, the thing I'm actually pretty excited about is they're rolling all the first founding chapters into it. So, Space Wolves, Blood Angels, Dark Angels, etc. They're all going to be wrapped in there. And
where did they say that?
I don't fucking remember. I think it was in the announcement.
Oh, you know what? It was in the video.
Yeah, that was it. Because
they did a teaser video for the codex on Warhammer Community, and there was a bunch of symbols of the other first founding, the non-codex compliant.
I mean, they are codex compliant as much as like some are, but they're rolling them all in, and I'm happy for that. It means you don't have like 3 different data slates, not war scrolls. I wrote in my notes for tactical squads or intercessors or whatever.
Data sheets.
Data sheets. Fucking A. Yeah, data slates are a 2nd edition thing, and an apocalypse thing. Whatever. Who cares? But yeah, they're rolling these things together. I'm down for that. I'm happy with the consistency. You already have like so much, like just the Ultramarine supplement alone has so many like extra characters and units. I don't think it's going to be a big deal to do the same thing for Space Wolves, Blood Angels,
right,
Black Templars, please. Or Death Watch or whatever.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Yeah,
it makes a lot of sense. And that's probably good too. So the non-codex compliant Marine players have all of their regular units in one book instead of reprinting a bunch of data sheets all over the place too.
Yeah, and it means you also don't have to worry about being like, oh, we have to update this intercessor data sheet because now the new intercessors have this or whatever, which has happened quite a few times over the course of Warhammer's time on this earth.
Well, I'm very excited to get my hands on that book come October.
Well, I'm excited to get my hands on the Space Marine Gladiator when that comes out.
Oh boy.
What if a Predator was an Impulsor? Yeah. Cool.
This thing I love. Like I have, as I turn my head and look over at my display case, I have 10 Leman Russ chassis built up. I have Shadow Sword, Bane Blade. I have tons of artillery, 2 repulsors, and an Astreus. Chaboy likes tanks.
Yeah.
And these Gladiator tanks, they look pretty fucking cool, especially the Space Marine version of the bullet hose. The double Gatling cannon and double Stormbolter.
Yeah, the Tempest bolters. Yeah. I think the sponsons look a little stubby and look a little bit cute, and it doesn't quite have the real world fighting vehicle feel that the repulsor has, just because I think the scale of the repulsor plus like the size of the weapons in comparison to the repulsor make it feel closer to like a real world Bradley fighting vehicle or something like that. This looks a little bit more classically Warhammer in a lot of ways, but I still really dig it, and I especially like the Gladiator Lancer, like the Tank Hunter one. I think that one looks really fucking cool.
The long cannon a la the repulsor Executioner.
Yes, and honestly, the thing that really excites me, I'm just looking at it, I'm like, squadrons of like Tank Hunter Gladiator Lancers is pretty cool to me. It makes me really want this, just like bring us new Epic, please, so I can have my dream of having like 6 of these without it taking up 2 fucking KR cases or whatever.
Do you think they'll actually bring back Epic?
I think it's pretty telling that Adeptus Titanicus and Aeronautic Imperialis are the same scale. Like they are the exact same scale. I think it's a matter of time.
I feel like people would go nuts for that.
I know I would. Do you have any idea how excited I'd be to paint a 4th concurrent Ultramarines army?
I think you'd probably be pretty pumped.
I'm a fucking mark, and Games Workshop knows it. So if they come out with Epic, I'm all over tiny Ultramarines.
I've always thought of you as a rube, honestly.
It's okay. I own it.
So along with the new Marine tanks, the Gladiators, which we're big fans of, the Monolith is getting a new model, an updated model, and fuck.
It's like we've seen in the background of some pictures, and like it was like in some of the early leaks it was there, but like we finally got clear pictures, all around views. It's got this.
We have, because we're both Marine players, we talk a lot about how much we fucking love Marines, but dang it, Campbell, dang it, Bobby.
God,
these Necron models from 9th edition so far are cock of the walk, if you will.
I would say something along those lines. They're definitely from the Cock Dynasty. I like the look of the new Monolith an awful lot. I like the layered look it's got going on. I love the like partially assembled warrior being beamed in. And I also like that they replaced the big ring pop gem with the Epcot Center ball.
Yes, the golf ball.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking cool.
What if Monolith but golf ball?
This is how we know, like, this is how pervasive Disney is. In the 41st millennium, they expanded and franchised all over the universe, and then that empire died, and now it's coming back.
Oh, man, I can't wait for somebody's uncle or dad to mistake that for an actual golf ball during a game and just jump up on the table and give it a whack.
What kind of sociopathic father are you imagining who's like, golf ball, who just jumps onto the table wholesale with his 4-iron and just takes a fucking whack at it?
Listen, my dude, I don't know anything about golf, okay? I have to assume that's how it works. Whenever you see a golf ball, you take your club and you hit the fucking golf ball.
Because you are essentially, if you are a golf player, you're essentially like a dog seeing a stick, or dare I say, a ball, and you must go for it. Also, in my mind, the dad is wearing golf cleats and like khaki shorts and a polo shirt, like just all the time in preparation for whenever he sees a golf ball, like always prepared, like living that old Boy Scout.
I was gonna make a Payne Stewart reference, but I knew that you would not get it, so I didn't.
I'm more of a Max Payne sort of guy myself.
There you go. That's fun.
Yeah.
No, I like this thing. I think it's got a ton of cool detail. It actually looks more like a stone structure than the old Monolith did.
Like stone and metal. I love that it's got like the chunks kind of like that have been like worn off it.
Yeah.
It looks kind of beat up a lot like the new Warriors do. I really like the new Necron aesthetic.
Yeah. So excellent work on this one. Also, friends over at Games Workshop. Forge World is back in business. And that is interesting.
They kind of were like late to the party after the like General Games Workshop manufacturing started back up, but
yeah. Now, as I understand it, Forge World has like 3 employees. So
I think you might be overstating it by 2. But they announced this new guy, Shinza, for the White Scars and the Horus Heresy, who's got that like Imperial China, Imperial Japan sort of look to him.
I saw this guy. I love his fucking helmet.
Yeah, I love that like ogre face sort of helmet he's got.
It's very, very reminiscent of, you know, like traditional Japanese like kabuki masks with like a demon face.
Yeah, it's got that
I don't know
face.
if I'm right on kabuki there. I don't know anything about traditional Japanese art forms. Do not at me, listeners, because, you know, I just don't know. And don't waste your time. So, but I love it. I absolutely love this model. And I usually don't give a fuck about Horus Heresy models, about the perfect game models, but this one kicks ass.
I think some intrepid modeler is going to be able to take this model and kit bash it with like a Gravis Captain and make someone really fucking cool, like really unique too. I love the look. I like the look they're going for with the White Scars. I'm glad they're kind of getting that fleshed out in a very cool way. But that's not the only things they showed off. They showed off like an Escher Champion, which is one of the matriarchs we've seen before. Yeah. And they also, near and dear to my heart, showed off Arvis Lighters and for Aeronautic Imperialis. And I don't usually take a note of the copy they use for this sort of stuff because like everything is hype. That's the whole thing. It's advertising. But the phrase they used was unleash the Arvis lighter on the skies of the 41st millennium, which is fucking funny to me because that's like saying unleash the Dodge Caravan on the streets of the Daytona 500 because these things are just it's a flying minivan. It's cute. It's not a weapons platform. You don't unleash it on shit. Yeah, you protect it. You don't unleash it. In fact, you should leash it so it doesn't run away and get shot down by a DACA jet. But
the old Arvis lighter, love that thing.
Forge World's back in business, or back doing stuff again. So hopefully we'll finally see some more specialist game stuff coming out from them. Like, I don't know, those fucking Slave Ogren gangs we've been seeing since March.
Yeah, that would be
whenever
cool.
That came out.
I would like, well, I write this weekly column for Goonhammer called Necromonday, and Jules and I, like, for the past month and a half have been like, what are we fucking talking about? There is no nobody's playing games. There's like House of Blades, the Escher supplement hasn't come out. Like, what are we fucking doing? It's difficult. It's been difficult.
I understand that. So it'd be nice if they threw you some bones.
Oh, it would be nice.
No,
okay, so let's move on from Forge World.
Okay, because that's all there is from Forge World. But there is, they did a little teaser showing some new stuff, which showed kind of just some like glimpses and glances at things coming up, which I think is kind of a cool way to do it. It's kind of like a rumor engine post, but in motion.
Motion.
Fuck you, Baltimore!
I don't know where that fucking came from. So there's like, it shows some bits of like some Death Guard, Dark Eldar, Admech, Orc dudes. Like there's kind of bits and pieces. I can't really comment too much because I don't know what they fucking look like. But they did introduce a Sisters of Battle Palatine.
Yes.
Who is like second in command to a Canoness. And my first thought was, those bastards, they finally did it. They made a Primaris Lieutenant for Sisters of Battle. When there are no more lieutenants to Primaris, you have to move on to other armies.
Yeah, I was going to make a comment of how she's a Palatine, but not a Palanite, which is, of course, an enforcer in Necromunda.
Yeah, she ain't no cop.
Because they only have 6 words at Games Workshop.
It's kind of like how Taco Bell remixes the same dozen ingredients into different menu items. And
I was just about to make that comment.
It's the same fucking thing. And much like with Taco Bell, you see these like 3 new things, 3 existent things have just been mixed into one new thing. You go, I want to try that.
Yeah, fuck yeah. They have like a grilled cheese burrito over there right now.
Yeah.
I got to tell you, bud. I'm curious. It's probably really bad, but I'm fucking curious.
Yeah, I'm down for another cheesy gordita crunch situation. I couldn't tell you what's in it, but it's probably just runs the gamut of Taco Bell's ingredients. Away from Taco Bell.
Anyways, we're talking about new stuff, and they got something weird going on over there at Games Workshop, and I'm talking about supply drop.
Yeah.
So these are blind buy boxes that you can't buy in the United States, which I wasn't going to anyways.
Yeah.
But they have 2 of them, the Warhammer Underworlds supply drop, which I have to think it's just unsold merchandise that they're trying to get rid of.
I think they both are just unsold merchandise they're trying to get rid of.
They're just like, you know what? Fuck it. We got to get rid of this shit. We got to make room for all the new stuff we're putting out this year. Let's get some of it off the shelves, and they're doing that with the supply drop. They have the Underworlds, and they have the Imperium supply drop. I am curious to know what's in these. I am not curious enough to spend any money on it, but even if I wanted to, I couldn't because I am not in a place that can buy it.
I mean, even if you were, they sold out like that, and that just shows people are down for this sort of thing, which I hope doesn't become a major business model, because it's one thing when you have like the Space Marine Heroes thing where it's like, oh, it's a random Marine in a bag. That's cool. Like, that's fine. That's whatever. It's low investment. It's, you know more or less what you could be getting with this. You don't fucking have any clue, like, aside from what game it's more or less for.
Right.
And I imagine like the Warhammer Underpants one is probably going to be, I wish, a pair of actual Warhammer Underpants, in which case I would subscribe. I'd be fucking windmill slamming the refresh button until I saw that come up on my feed. But that's probably just going to be like last season's teams that they're going to be phasing out soon. The 3-dimensional objective markers that no one really buys because there's ones in the box that work just fine, and like maybe some card sleeves and dice. Like, it's gonna be stuff they probably can't get rid of. Like, the Imperial one is probably gonna be like, oh, fucking a Razorback and a tactical squad or something like that. And it's cool, they are at a 50% savings, but you don't know what the fuck you're getting. And I can't justify doing blind buys that cost 75 Great British pounds or local equivalent. It's one thing to do like $5-10 for a blind buy where it's just going to be some random model, but I don't want to buy stuff I'm not going to use, and I don't want to accidentally buy stuff I'm not going to use via supply drop. Yeah. This feels like, I don't know, this feels just like a naked cash grab to me, but
it's capitalism.
Yeah, it's capitalism. It's a business that has to make money, and it's just not usually this blatant about it. I'm not down for it, but other people might be. And you know what? If it turns out, I would love to be proved wrong. I would love for these actually to have like really cool shit in it that maybe it's hard to find elsewhere or whatever, but I am intensely skeptical.
Well, allow me to thrill you with the last thing we're going to talk about here in new stuff real quick.
Okay.
Because I got to tell you, bud, when this article on Community came out, I, one, had no idea it was coming. Mm-hmm. So very surprised. And two, extremely excited. Mm-hmm. Because they're doing a new edition of Blood Bowl.
Yes, they fucking are. Like the whole rule book, I think, leaked in its entirety. So they just dropped everything. They just showed the whole thing off. I don't think they gave a release date, but it was like they showed off all the new models in the box. They showed off like tons of cool shit coming out for it. And I love this new team they've got coming out.
Oh, they're awesome. The Imperial Nobles. So Blood Bowl, as we know, is set kind of in the old world. Mm-hmm. Not really anymore. I think they've mentioned it that like Blood Bowl is its own like plane of existence.
Yeah.
In the mortal realms or world or something. I don't know how that works. Doesn't matter.
Super matter. No.
But these are like specifically supposed to be old world Empire nobles. Yeah, their teams.
They look like Empire great swords, but without the great swords.
Yeah, these fucking models are excellent.
Like, I love that there's women in the team, which is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
And is a first for sort of like Empire aesthetic models. Mm-hmm. To my knowledge, I love like the thick dude who's just in there. I love all the feathers and wings. Like, they're very over the top, but over the top in a way that makes a lot of sense for this setting.
Yeah, and then they have a model for who I believe is star player Griff Oberwald.
Right, it's his second new model, I think.
his old model is just that old, and this model fucking rips.
Yeah,
it's excellent. It's got all the aesthetic of the Imperial Noble get up, but also huge helmet wings. In the most impractical helmet I've ever seen. And this is coming from somebody who's a fan of Games Workshop stuff. So trust me when I say I've seen a lot of impractical fucking helmets. But this guy comes with a bird.
Yeah, and the bird's wearing multiple medals, which is why I had multiple people message me saying that this model represents you and I. And I say it's us specifically when I left the table at trivia at Adepticon 2019 with the answer sheet before winning my third medal, because that bird's only got 2 and Griff is just like releasing the bird, and I'm that bird. You're that Griff.
Me as Griff saying, "Go get him, Tiger." I mean, bird. So I am extremely excited for new Blood Bowl. Blood Bowl hasn't really changed in like 20 years. And one thing I'm not super plugged into this stuff, but I've been getting a lot of screenshots sent to me by people of Blood Bowl fans being extremely mad about an update to Blood Bowl, which,
of course.
You know,
why wouldn't they be?
Like, fine, idiots, whatever. If you don't like it, don't fucking play it. I feel like Blood Bowl has a particularly annoying fan base because it had been for so many years run by the community.
Yep.
And not Games Workshop. So I feel like there's a lot of Blood Bowl fans out there that feel like they have ownership over Blood Bowl while Games Workshop doesn't.
I mean, the thing is also Blood Bowl players of old anyway are so used to playing a game that isn't supported. They can go on playing a game that isn't supported if the new rules aren't to their liking. Like, right. I don't mean to sound callous with that, but that is what the community has been for the longest fucking time. And,
right.
You know, even so, like, I don't know anything about the new rules, so I can't comment on them.
But you say the whole rule book got leaked. I didn't check that out.
Yeah.
So I'm excited though.
Give it a try. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
I think it's, I would love more people to get into Blood Bowl too. And if this like spurns more interest in Blood Bowl, it's a good thing, regardless of what the fucking graybeards have to say about it.
At the very least, I'm interested in painting up a team of those new nobles because
hell yeah.
The thing is, like, I guarantee those are going to get used an awful lot in conversions because they look really good, like really good fodder for like bands of inquisitorial weirdos or Age of Sigmar dudes or whatever. Yeah. My only disappointment is the bulges. They pale in comparison to the bulges on Empire models of old. I mean, we can't have everything. I know.
Let's be honest. That's okay. They did paint a happy trail on one of these fat guys, though.
They did. They very much did.
If you wanna go check that out, listeners, head over to Warhammer Community. Check out the fat guy with the red facial hair. He's got an actual happy trail down there. That's gross. Oh, God, okay, well, let's move on to WMDK. We were just talking about Blood Bowl. This one comes in because of the Griff Oberwald discussion from Matt M via the Independent Characters Discord. That's right. They're doing work for us now. If Campbell was a bird, what kind of bird would he be? Ooh, this is a good one. This is not a question for Campbell. Usually these things I give to Campbell and say, give me your thoughts. This one, I'm gonna take the reins on this one, bud.
Yeah.
All right, so Campbell, you're a peaceful guy.
I'm a rather peaceful individual.
So we're just gonna strike birds of prey right off it.
I would advise that.
I don't think you're a beach bird.
I mean, I do live dangerously close to Revere that I do see seagulls in like just outside my yard on the regular, but I'm not much of a beach bird. That is true. No. I think you're more of a woods or plains bird. You know, not too exotic. Somewhat exotic. You only wear black, so We're going to give you black feathers. I'm down with this.
I don't want to call you a crow because I feel like you just don't have the crow energy to you.
I don't really like steal and harass that much.
No, I don't want to call you a raven because you're not large and chunky.
I also don't think I'm quite that goth.
Oh, you're close.
I'm getting there, though.
You're close. I think I'm going to go with the red-winged blackbird.
Ooh, I like the red-winged blackbird. That is a distinguished animal.
So red-winged blackbird is small, black, passerine bird, meaning a perching bird, not a swimming bird like a duck. It's got a black body, black head, black wings, except for on its shoulders of its wings, it's got red and yellow. They look sort of like epaulets, like a military officer of old would wear. Some people call it the Germany bird because it's black.
Oh yeah, it looks like the German flag. Yeah,
yellow like the German flag. I love the red-winged blackbird. It's got a great little call, and they are all over just about the entire continental United States and are a wonderful bird to go see. They usually live near water, though, just like you, Campbell, since you're a Boston area person. That counts as near water.
It's very. I have actually, we spotted them when we went to the Harbor Islands. We saw a few on Petix Island.
Yeah, they're a good fun bird. They love cattails. They love to nest in cattails, and they enjoy mostly eating bugs in the summertime when they're at least here in Virginia, they are a year-round species, not just a summertime species. Okay. Not all of them. Some of them will move south to follow the bugs, but you'll get a few that stay here year-round. So there you are, Campbell. You are a red-winged blackbird.
Happy to be one.
Let's look up the scientific name before we leave. You are. Oh God, I have to lean in because I'm not wearing my glasses, and this is hard to say. Agileus phoenicius.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
Agileus phoenicius.
And he's an Icteridae. That's cool. I like this. This is a good
blackbirds.
I appreciate this bird comparison.
All right, cool. We've done it. That is asked and answered. Wait, that's a different podcast. Can't say that. All right, let's move on. We talked about New Blood Bowl. Let's talk about some sports some more, and I'll give it a little bit of one of my favorite songs of all time, the 1980s intro to CBS's College Football Saturday. Here we go.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, if this song doesn't...
This fucking slaps.
Fucking get you going. I don't know what will.
Step aside, Jock Jams.
All right, I'm gonna fade that out because it will just keep going.
It is 10 minutes long.
Yeah, I think it's like 2 minutes long, but it's the whole song. So we're gonna talk about what happened to sports in the 41st millennium. Sports are back. Baseball is back. Basketball is back. Hockey, I think, is back. I don't know. I don't really care about hockey, so I don't follow it. That's going to piss off some people. Something about hockey. The people who like hockey are just like so evangelical. No, evangelistic.
Evangelist.
Whatever.
Any whomst. Hockey is my favorite sport to watch at bars, so I'm happy with that one.
They love to push hockey on everybody, and I'm going to get some shit for that. So... sorry, hockey fans.
Sorry, Dan's in the penalty box now.
Hey, there it is. So we're asking the question, what happened to sports in the 41st millennium? Because we don't really get a whole lot of mentions of sport in Warhammer 40k, but I know it exists. For one, I know that there is a sport called Scrumball because it gets mentioned in the Caiaphas Cain models.
Books.
Models? Novels. Thank you. I don't know what Scrumball is. It sounds a bit like rugby. It's probably rugby-esque. So I want to divide this into 4 sections before we start. Mm-hmm. Competition, races, individual effort, and sport in quotation marks, which we'll get to. But let's start with competition. So by competition, I mean like one-on-one or team sports that aren't racing. So your baseball, your football, your wrestling, like what does that kind of sport look like in the 41st millennium?
Okay.
The first thing that comes out, obviously, gladiatorial pit fighting. Okay, so back in the olden times, it seems like extremely violent displays of just about anything were a lot more popular than they are today. In Rome, you had the Colosseum where people and animals were killed for the enjoyment of the masses. Even as far or as close as like the late 1800s, you saw public executions and public torturing of criminals in Western society as an event that people would attend.
I mean, the closest we have now is UFC.
Pretty much, yeah. So I feel like in the 41st millennium, life is extremely cheap, right? It has little to no meaning. So the people are going to be getting their jollies because, you know, there's nothing going on for like some poor person who's tied to a cogitator for 16 hours a day, putting in random strings of numbers and they don't know what any of it means. If they have any leisure time, you know, they're going to want to make the most out of it. And I imagine making the most out of it is watching people disembowel each other in gladiatorial combat.
I mean, the thing is, actually, you actually do bring up a good point here, though. I bring up like the old gladiatorial thing is like there's the old the bread and circuses sort of like thing attributed to like ancient Rome, where it is like it's, you know, the opiate of the masses or whatever. And I'm surprised that isn't explored a little bit more because that seems very much like the sort of thing that would feel very much at home in Warhammer 40,000. So yeah, I feel like we're actually kind of, I feel like we're late to the party, but it hasn't been thrown yet.
Yeah, well, I mean, it is explored somewhat in Necromunda.
Yes, Necromunda has a bit, which I think might be more in the sport category. We can get down to it later. And yeah, there's pit fighters and pit gladiators and stuff like that, but it isn't really explored too deeply in most writing.
As far as team sports go, though, I feel like it's going to be more of the same. Like whatever sports are popular in the 41st millennium are going to be like hyper violent.
Oh, absolutely. Like I imagine that whatever sport there is, if there is a team sport in the 41st millennium, it's basically Mutant League football. And it's really where I would go with this sort of thing. Like I feel like my like most 40k team sport would be essentially hyper violent football or you know, rugby, whatever, who gives a shit, where you have like teams, and the teams are like the world's like whatever hive world it is, like the nastiest mutants, heretics, dissidents, like the people that the imperial nobles do not want alive. And basically they play or they die. And imagine like football with far more lax standards for physical assault and with like hazards on the field, either by design or by happenstance, just given how dangerous the nightmare future is. And the ball might be your classic like pigskin hand egg thing. It could be a wandering servo skull or cyber cherub. It could be a piece of as of yet unexploded ordnance. Like it could be anything. And in true Imperial fashion, like the teams that lose games would be put to death. And the winners of the equivalent of the Super Bowl would just get to be put to death last. And watching this sport would probably be forbidden by the Inquisition because it's acknowledging the existence of the mutant and the heretic, but it'd still be held anyway because it's the Imperium, baby.
Yeah, no, I mean, I imagine there's like on every world of the Imperium, there's like a new or a different and distinct sporting culture, right?
Yeah, I feel like on at least one planet you have to have basically Blood Bowl, but every player is the Chainsaw Goblin. Yeah, and that's.
I just want to point out that like, we're talking about human activities for the most part, but just remember that like orcs are doing all of this too.
Well, orcs have that football hooligan culture. There's got to be something resembling orc football.
I wonder what sports Tau are into.
Probably something far more dignified.
Yeah, probably. Or Eldar. I know it's sports the fucking Dark Eldar are into. That's the quote unquote sport category that we're going to get to at the end here. So yeah, competition. I feel like all of it's just going to be as hyper violent as possible because when life is cheap and you're probably going to die or live a horrible squalid life, you want to get turned on some blood sport in the 41st millennium. Not that we over here are like endorsing Bloodsport, just so you know.
I mean, endorsing the film Bloodsport. That movie rules.
Yes, that's Jean-Claude Van Damme, I believe.
Yes, my favorite part is where he does a roundhouse kick or a spin kick. Then he does another spin kick. Then he does another spin kick. Then I think he does another spin kick.
Yeah, it's radical. It's extremely radical.
All
right, competition. We got that racing. There's got to be a ton of racing in the 41st millennium.
Again, we know orcs are all into it. Speed freaks, Gorka Morka, like orc racing is very well documented.
Oh yeah, that's their whole deal.
Yeah, that is their fun. And if you die in the track, all the better. But the thing is, I feel like in that really like sort of grim darkness sort of way, humanity isn't that different because I feel like if there's any sort of human racing, like with vehicles, it's probably gonna be fairly similar. Mm-hmm. But like if I were to really put on my like 1980s Games Workshop writer hat here, there would be stock car racing, but the stock cars are called stock cars because some dude named Cornelius Stock discovered the STC for a car. And that car is going to be like the size of a monster truck and it's going to have guns all over it. And it's going to be basically Death Race, but much larger.
Yeah, I would watch stock car racing.
Yeah, and
if that was the case.
Well, the thing is, if it's like Death Race but larger, you'd have to have like a driver plus a navigator / gunner. Because I don't know if you've seen Death Race 2000 or the Jason Statham Death Race, both fine films. But
I've seen parts of the Jason Statham Death Race, but I haven't seen all of it.
The Jason Statham Death Race is what if there was a Mario Kart movie, but it was rated R and directed by Paul W.S. Anderson. It's so dumb and it rules. But
what's the difference between Paul W.S. Anderson and Paul Thomas Anderson?
I want them to switch places for a day. They direct very different films, but I want them to switch places for a day.
Yeah, well.
No, the thing is, I think the thing that would have to cinch this
Let's make it happen.
Yeah, we have the power. We have the influence. With our dozens of listeners in a niche within a niche, I feel like the kind of the
I gotta imagine one of the Pauls listens to this show.
There's got to be a Paul. There is at least one Paul who listens to this show. I guarantee it. Now I feel like the fucking like icing on the cake here is like I remember when I was reading the Horus Heresy series. There's like the Triumph at Ulanor, I think, is where they give like that big speech, and it's on a planet that's been basically paved over to be a giant face of an Imperial Eagle.
Yeah, it's Armageddon.
Yeah, well, we find that gets retconned much later, but I feel like there's got to be like a planet-sized racetrack, and it's got to have some like stupid punny name like Daytonia 500. And
oh my god, yes.
You have to have these teams driving these murder cars.
It's 100% an orc planet, though.
Oh, yeah. I don't know. Ooh, imagine if it's like it's a warring planet and half of it is like covered by orc speed freaks and half is covered by fucking Imperial death racers. and you now have the premise for either a video game or a tabletop game that I really fucking want to play right now.
I'm kind of upset that this doesn't exist.
Same, extremely same.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, I mean, I got to imagine there's also like, Star Wars style, like pod racing, but actually cool.
Well, it's Ben-Hur chariot racing. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah. All right. Individual effort sports, Campbell. So things like weightlifting or diving or gymnastics, a lot of your Olympic level individual sports.
Yep.
So what, like, Space Marines exist. Mm-hmm. So do people care about how strong you are? I mean, obviously they do on Necromunda.
Might makes right all over the Imperium.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. So do you think weightlifting is still a thing that is impressive when everybody's like surgically enhanced and genetically modified?
I mean, Goliaths are all about weightlifting and shit. Like, they really care about like getting big muscles and bulging biceps and all that shit. Like, that can't be wholly isolated to Goliaths, because also other gangs can take on the muscle table or whatever, or brawn table, not the muscle one. So clearly there's some admiration of strength and so on. You need, like, again, might makes right. You need strength to be anyone. Like, every job pretty much is an industrial job that requires you to lift big weights until you can't lift them anymore, or are so bent over that you die or get turned to a servitor. So I think weightlifting probably exists in some capacity, which actually makes you wonder. I'm curious how every bit of lore about the Imperium is like, there's no food to eat. People have like one slice of corpse bread a day and a glass of water, and that's all they get. And yet they're fucking jacked. Like, everyone's huge. I don't know where they get the protein.
That's a good question, because like there's a lot of jacked individuals in the 41st millennium, and yet they have no food. I
mean, I bet
it doesn't add up, Games Workshop.
Yeah, get at us, Games Workshop. Explain your lore. We found a plot hole. Although I bet the planet Catachan is founded on like a core of protein powder.
I bet Catachan, they do a lot of weightlifting.
Yeah. They do a lot of weightlifting, and they probably kill enough things that once you boil off the poison are pretty high in protein. But yeah, I feel like individual effort, you're thinking very classic. I'm thinking a bit more modern. I think like you get into real reality show territory.
Okay.
Because like you could obviously do a reality show of like Who Wants to Be a Space Marine, and you have like 20 children and 19 of them die because it's awful place to live. But I feel like if you want to open it to older audience or older contestants, you could have Who Wants to Be a Martyr, where basically contestants would sign up to go on one-man penitence crusades in battlefields all over the Imperium, and whoever dies last is the winner. And
well, the thing is, everybody's a martyr at the end.
I mean, that's kind of the conceit of
the real martyrs were the friends we made.
But I feel like anything like this, it would be like the winner gets to become a servo skull, and their next of kin gets a coupon for like 50% off rations for the next month or something.
What about a show called Who Doesn't Want to Be a Servitor?
There's no winner, this.
Okay, that's fun. I feel like the movie The Running Man. You've seen this?
Oh, of course I have.
Okay,
it's a Schwarzenegger movie. I have very specific avenues that I'm pretty well versed in. That's one of them.
I feel like that's like a spiritual successor to Warhammer 40,000.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, like
much in the way Event Horizon is, it kind of slots into that setting pretty well.
Well, but like Event Horizon came out after 40k existed. I don't remember.
Running Man. I thought the Running Man was like 1989 or 1988 or something like that. I thought it was a little later in the 80s, but I might be wrong.
87.
Yeah.
So is that same year?
86 is 40k.
Okay, so. All right, but like I feel like there's maybe not a lot of 40k in The Running Man, but I don't know, like, because it was a novel written by Stephen King, so maybe somebody over there read it and was like, hey, this dystopian idea of, I don't know, I feel like it's maybe not the same thing, but they're parallel.
Oh, I think they're at least picking up on the same signals.
I love that movie.
That movie rules.
It's one of the best movies.
Yeah, I love the Chainsaw Dude so much.
Oh, God, Buzzsaw?
Yeah, that's his name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. All right, so our last category is sport, in quotation marks. And really this one's hunting. Like it's like hunters and fishermen, in the States at least, are called sportsmen for some dumbass reason. And so this is hunting. Mm-hmm. And we all know that like exotic animal hunting definitely exists in 40k.
Yeah, the difference between exotic animal hunting on Earth and in 40k is on Earth they're endangered species who should be protected. In 40k, they're usually giant murder monsters from space hell. So it's actually something that's a little more moral in the 41st millennium.
Yeah, the exotic animal hunters on real Earth are a bunch of cowards who shoot, animals that probably can't even hurt them if they wanted to, from vehicles with extremely high-powered rifles. While in the 41st millennium, they're like, oh, okay, well, there's a space Tyrannosaurus.
One of many.
Kill it.
And it is trying to eat our entire army. Yeah. Well, like hunting is very well established in 40k. Like, how common is it for like rogue traders or imperial upper crust to wear like pelts or hides of big mean critters?
Oh, big time.
Did you play Dawn of War 2?
Yes.
All right. Did you get to play with the Imperial Guard expansion?
Yes.
All right, cool. Because when the general there's like a boss fight where you like fight a Carnifex, and he's like, "I want that thing's head for my mantle. Men, aim low." And like that just brings it to me because he's also got like a big hunting rifle, and his character is a big game hunter. Like there's multiple canon hunters in 40k.
Yeah, that's so that's got to be a huge part. I don't know about fishing.
Yeah,
in the 41st millennium, I feel like that's not because like fishing you do to relax. Yeah, right. Most people. I don't know if people are doing a lot of fishing in the 41st. I imagine
there's some like lesser demon on Korn's Blood World fishing in the Blood River with a skull at the end of a bunch of femurs put together into a fishing rod, and it just catches a giant skull that eats it. Like I guarantee there is some, because of course, like I think there's definitely like some fluff in there where somebody eats some kind of fish. Like I imagine there's like industrial fishing because everything's industrial because it's an awful future. But yeah, like the like hanging out, relaxing, like. I don't think Ursarkar Creed he didn't get to retire to a nice agri world to go fishing to wait out his days. He got caught in a Pokeball by a Necron. Like, I don't think there is that fishing to relax, or if there is, it's very quickly spoiled by some monster eating you.
All right, but what about the most dangerous game, Campbell? Hunting man.
Well, Spirers in Necromunda, or Spryers or whatever in Necromunda, they go hunting for people.
Spirers,
yeah, because they're from the Upspire.
From the Spire, yeah.
But they just,
they enjoy hunting the most dangerous game.
Yeah.
But is man even the most dangerous game in the 41st millennium?
God, no.
Not even fucking close, right?
Man is at best like middle of the food chain.
There's so much more dangerous things to hunt. Well, that's fun. I'm sure that it would be nice if Games Workshop had like if like Dark Eldar got more into hunting, you know what I mean? Like they shifted their focus a little bit, and you had some like hunter themed models for Dark Eldar.
That's sort of like I feel like the Beastmasters are sort of like adjacent to that, but they aren't quite there. Although, man, if there was a book like a Black Library novel that came out where it's just about like it's like. Brother Polydorius, who can't fit in his armor anymore or whatever, gets to retire and go fishing. I feel like I'd read that book.
Yeah, you don't really hear about a lot of retired space marines, do you?
Where's that like fucking 41st millennium version of Walden? I want to read that book.
Henry David, throw a grenade at the enemy.
Grenade fishing. There we go.
Oh, nice.
Got it.
Did you like my Henry David throw?
I did actually. Good job. Okay. Good job.
All right. I came up with that on the fly.
Can't hear that, but you might be able to hear it, but that's very tiny, close clapping.
Thank you. Okay. Let's go to our next little segment here. Campbell, if you could go back in time, what advice would you give yourself as a young hobbyist?
Okay, Campbell, you're 12 years old.
So what? What are you going back a week?
Hey, no.
Hey.
No, I was about to make a joke that would probably get that would probably get me swatted, so I won't say it. If I were to go back in time, the advice I'd probably give him is like, the thing is, even though my dad's a war gamer and has been a war gamer since the 70s, his understanding of the modeling side of it hadn't really evolved too much in the intervening years. Like, he was still using testers paints and stuff like that when I was a kid.
Oh, okay.
And I only really learned a lot past the very basics by doing things myself or picking up tips from random people along the way. So I feel like actually the first thing I would teach myself is mostly safety stuff. Because while this is a hobby we do to relax and chill out, there's a lot of aspects of it that aren't hyper safe, especially for kids. So like cutting towards your thumb, I would tell me to not do that because the ends of my thumbs are messes of scar tissue.
I can see the scars on my thumb now. I'm looking at them.
Yeah, I'm actually looking at them on both of my thumbs right now.
Yeah, I wish I learned how to do that too.
Yeah, they're far more pronounced than the calluses of my fingers from playing guitar as a kid. So I would be like, first off, do that, and also just kind of practice more knife safety because I remember cutting the tip of my the very tippy tip of one of my fingers off when I was building a Gundam model as a kid, and that bled all over the fucking place.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
I would also tell myself about spray paint because, for one, spray paint is not always spray primer. Like they are different things, but don't spray paint indoors or in cold weather.
That seems like something that you would just know automatically, but apparently not for you.
You'd think this. So when I was a kid, maybe I was like 14 or so, I was spray painting. It was like the dead of winter in Connecticut, in like rural Connecticut. So it's real fucking cold. And I'm like, I want to paint these models I built. And my dad's like, just open all the windows in the office that was like basically a finished porch and just spray paint on this board. So I did that. Not only did I choke down fuckloads of fumes, but because the windows were open and it was winter, all the paint contracted and I got this cracked paint texture on fucking everything. Which is something I didn't know would happen.
I feel like Connecticut is mostly rural.
Connecticut sucks. Connecticut sucks. I never want to go back. So yeah, I think the first thing I would teach are safety things like that.
Okay. I think if I could go back and give myself one piece of advice, it would be fucking paint, you idiot.
That was never a problem for me.
Just fucking paint. Just spend more time painting, you dumbass.
Is this like an analysis paralysis thing or just I have better things to do sort of thing?
No, oh my God. The amount of time I've wasted in my life, just I don't know, doing something that's not. There was a long time when I was single where I would just be like, I'm going to walk down to 7-Eleven and get a 6-pack of 9% beer and just drink it and get hammered by myself. And I'm like, instead of that, paint, and you won't feel terrible because you're 1, drinking alone, and 2, not hungover the next day, and 3, you have something to show for it. I mean, so you idiot, go paint.
I would do that when I was single, but it would be a 6-pack of like a 5.5%, and I'd drink 2 of them, and I'd still be in pretty much the same position as you would.
I would drink like 4, and I would watch, I don't know, just whatever Netflix show or whatever movie was on TV. And
I will say there was a good night where I was like, I've got a new bottle of whiskey and both Bad Boys movies, and I'm just going to have a good fucking time. And I did.
That sounds pretty good, actually. I feel like if I had just spent, I don't know, maybe like 10% more time painting, oh my God, the compounding painting and the amount of models I would have done would be fantastic. And also, if we're on the topic of painting, I would say, go back and be like, hey, push yourself.
Yeah.
Get better. Do things to make yourself better. Because for the most part, when I was painting my Imperial Guard army, I wasn't really pushing myself.
Just trying to get them out there.
Yeah, they look good all together, but one by one, they don't look that good, especially compared to what I can do now. Because I pushed myself with my Space Marine project. So I think, hey, idiot, paint more, and hey, idiot, try to get better at painting. Just don't paint to get stuff done. Paint to get better and get stuff done.
Yeah, I get that. I think my issue, actually, going back a little bit, is also teaching more about tools. Because we've talked about getting hobby tools in the show before, but it took me a long time.
Neither of us are airbrush people.
No, and I'm not talking about getting airbrushed and stuff like that. If that's cool, fine, whatever. That's for some people. I'm not that interested in it. But when I started, I was using nail clippers to clip models off the sprue, or twisting the bits off the sprue. And then maybe cleaning it up with a knife, maybe not. If I was just if I just knew get real model clippers, get a knife and clean them up. If I just knew that kind of from the start, I'd be better off. Because also again, going back to my dad, he came from historical wargaming where your models were single piece lead casts. So you might straighten out the bayonet and cut off a bit of flash, and that was about all you had to do. So working with plastic was kind of a new thing for both of us. I wish I knew about pinning. because when I started, like it was a lot of hybrid models. Like if you had a Devastator squad, that was plastic bodies, metal heavy weapons, dudes who fall over all the fucking time because their weapons are so heavy. But if I knew about pinning and how to do it, like I knew that word pinning, but I didn't know what it meant. But if I knew how to do it, I could actually have like built those models and not had them break.
Yeah, it's not even hard.
No, it really isn't. Like once I started pinning in college with the Iron Warriors army I started back then, like it was like, oh, cool, this actually works. It's a bit of a pain to drill through pewter, but like the models don't break. And just knowing that like getting good tools really matters. And I'm not saying you need to get like God hand clippers or the most expensive tools in the world, but just like if you have shitty brushes, you're going to often get shitty results. Like trying to paint eyeballs with a bunch of curly cued brushes instead of just sucking it up and spending a few bucks on a new brush. Like I really wish I was able to do that more when I was younger.
Yeah. I'd say I would give myself advice to spend more time networking in the hobby. As in like try to make friends. And like when I was in college, I would just go down to the local games workshop and like hang around and get like a pickup game with a rando.
Yep.
But like not like go to any events, wouldn't go to tournaments or anything. And it was just because I don't know, either I didn't have the time, I didn't have the money, or I was too scared to. And I think if I had gotten an earlier start on making more friends in the hobby, it would be better.
Yeah.
Or maybe like, hey, start this podcast sooner.
Well, we needed the catalyst of Nova to make this podcast happen.
Yeah. But still, like I should have been going to Nova before 2014. Because it started in 2009.
It's in your backyard.
Right. I should have been doing all this stuff way beforehand, but I honestly was probably just too scared to do any of it.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, to that level, like I remember I tried to start a gaming group at the Complete Strategist, rest in peace, on ComAv, and it just like it flamed out so hard. But it was also like kind of like a pre-Facebook, or it wasn't pre-Facebook, but like getting groups together was much more difficult. And I really wish I figured things out a little bit more so I could have made that sort of group happen, because I was just kind of like bouncing from individual to individual who I didn't really want to play with that much, just so I could get a game in for a good chunk of like when I was in college and so on, until I found the Dorkham Worker crew in like 2012. Right.
It's funny how like when you have a good group of people around you, how much, better the whole hobby is.
Yeah. No,
and it's so easy now.
Yeah, it is. It just gets exponentially better the more cool folks you got around.
Yeah. All right, what else you got? I think I'm tapped out for this. I think like the rest of my advice would be like break up with her, and, break up with her, and don't live there. And no, don't hang out with them. But that's not hobbying.
I've got some don't hang out with them's in there too. But I'll save that for maybe never, and maybe for my therapist.
Maybe shave once in a while there, fucko.
Oh, I'm not doing that now. Well, I'm shaping it. I'm keeping it trim where I need
trimming.
To. But yeah.
Trimming.
Got my fucking wizard's beard going on here. But I think I would also I wish I had access to some of those basic techniques that we take for granted now a lot more when I started. Dry brushing, when I found out about that, it blew my fucking mind. And of course,
edge highlighting for me. I wish I started edge highlighting before, like regularly on every model before 2017.
Yeah, I get that. I wish I didn't just dry brush for my base coats when I started dry brushing. I was like, oh, this is great. It does all the work for you. And I'm like dry brushing yellow over black and it looks like fucking garbage. Understanding like the too thin coats principle, like seeing that in action, like you can now just in like YouTube videos or like well illustrated tutorials, compared to back in the day where you got like stage 1 primed model, stage 2 heavy metal standard, like getting that sort of thing. Like if I knew more about layering and using multiple coats to get colors to look good, that would have been huge.
I was lucky on that one because I had an artist friend early on who was like, you want your paint to be the consistency of milk when you put it on a model.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
God, thinning your paints. I wish that's something I even knew a few years ago, until I
wish they would like put that on the paint rack at Games Workshop. Be like, hey, if you're going to use these paints, fucking thin them.
Yeah. Cause like once when Dylan gave me that like hand me down wet palette, like a year and a half, 2 years ago, whatever, I guess it was 2 years ago, like that really did transform my painting in a very real way. And even if it didn't necessarily go for like a wet palette, just like understanding thinning your paint would have been very helpful. Like I look at models I painted just a couple of years ago and they've got these big chunky streaks in their capes and it makes me really upset. But honestly, I see the last thing I really wish I was brave enough to do when I was younger is basing. I was scared of it. Like nobody taught me how to do it. And I didn't want to mess up my models or have like bad basing. I like when I started doing it, I just put on like a layer of super glue and dipped it in sand. And of course that just kicks off fuckloads of fumes. I didn't know you're supposed to use PVA instead. And I wish I started basing earlier because I had that excuse where I was like, oh, my bases are black, so they fit in with everything. No, that's not why they're black. They're black because you're a coward and you don't know what to do with them.
Oh, I have one more.
Oh, okay.
I wish I would go back in time and tell young Dan to build some fucking terrain.
Ooh.
Just build yourself 2 tables worth of terrain. Just do it. You fucking idiot. Just do it. Just having terrain is so good. Scott Horace let me borrow his. It's so good because I can just be like, hey, friend, come to my house for a game. Mm-hmm. You don't need to bring anything but yourself and your models. I'll take care of the rest. And it makes me so happy. So I wish young Dan would have actually gotten over his fear of building terrain and just built some fucking terrain.
Right on. Being able to host is a really big thing.
All right, let's move on to the marquee segment of our show, Fact or Fan Fiction. Campbell, give me something fresh. Give me something crunchy. Give me something delicious.
Well, this is a succulent one. You may address me as erotic, said the last, a bitch-faced crone who had inadvisably wedged her ancient body into a close-fitting, spiked black body glove, the mark of a death cultist. Or would-be death cultist, I thought. She had 5 masked and harnessed slaves all with her, all of them sweating in the misty heat. I saw at once they were out of their depth. They played at death cult, up in the aeries of the main hive, maybe cutting their skin and drinking blood once in a while. The closest they had come to a real death cult was watching some blurry, fake snuff pic to impress their friends after a banquet. A banquet. By the way, erotic is spelled with a K. It's great, you all. I'm Igor, his off-world, and twisted as they come. I bowed. Fibes and Vasek returned the motion. Murdoch mopped his brow, and erotic gestured a very ham-fisted sign of the true death, which clearly made Nea laugh out loud. Could we get started, my friend Fat? Murdoch asked, dabbing his kerchief around the sweat runs on his face. It's midday and bloody hot out here. And I have murders to do and blood to drink, Erotic cried. Her plump and unhealthy minders oohed and awed and tried to get their nipple spikes and bondage straps comfortable. Oh, dear God, Emperor, they're never going to make it out alive, whispered Beckwin.
All right, so I recognized some names there. Mm-hmm. Nail, Harlan Nail, I believe his name is.
Yes.
From the Eisenhorn series. Beckwin, Elizabeth Beckwin, who is, again, from the Eisenhorn series. I feel like this could be real. I didn't hear any terrible grammatical errors. There were no Sonic the Hedgehogs anywhere. I'm going with it, man. I think it's fact.
This is fact.
Yes!
This is from an actual Eisenhorn book that, I don't know which fucking one.
Let me in, I'm trying to fuck.
This is from an actual Eisenhorn book. Our good friend Peter Dolan sent this my way because he was reading the omnibus and he saw a character named Erotic with a K and was like, this is right up your alley.
Oh my God, I don't remember this part at all.
The worst part is when I Google erotic with a K on my fucking work computer, which means I should probably delete my search history, I can't find out which book it is. So when I get through, it might be in Hereticus. It might be in the third one because I haven't read that one yet.
Okay. All right, man. I'm killing it.
Yeah.
That's great. I feel great about myself now.
Glad you do.
All right. That's it. That's it for the Badcast. This time around, gang, let's get some plugs in before we go. You can find us on social media, Twitter. I am at DB_sleazy. He is at Brother SRM. And you can hang out and watch the world burn with your friends over at the Badcast on Twitter.
Yeah, and see my pro advice for thinning your paints, as well as some actual pictures of the model once in a while.
If you want to see pictures, you'll see my pictures of models because I always post them on Twitter. But if you want to see pictures of Campbell's models, why don't you go to his Tumblr, Cam2D, over at Tumblr. He linked over a picture of his Chaos Lord on Cardrock to me during the show at the beginning, and I saw it, and I realized I hadn't been at your Tumblr in a while.
Yeah, well, I do post most of my stuff on Twitter, but Tumblr lets me post 10 pictures instead of just 4, so I can go a bit harder there. Beyond that, we do both write for goonhammer.com. Dan writes Necro Monday on the regular. I have been contributing mostly to the hobby roundups, and I should have an article coming out sometime soon regarding those Napoleonic models I painted for a bit of a model kit review. But if you do want to support us, we have multiple ways you can do that. We are selling shirts on Spreadshirt, which is shop.spreadshirt.com/40k Badcast. I do have quite a few designs in the pipeline that I want to get going on there that'll hopefully have them out during the summer. I think we got some fun stuff coming up as far as those go. And if you want to support these two assholes you're listening to without advertising it to the world, you can go to Patreon at patreon.com/40k Badcast. We're there. We have bonus episodes. We got like 2 years and change worth of them. We've got the next 2 of them are lined up. We just did a big Q&A on there, which by the time you hear this, we may or may not have recorded it, so you could still get in under the wire there, where we're just going to be answering questions from fucking everybody about everything. We got some cool stuff coming up. And man, I don't remember if we had anything else regarding Patreon coming up too soon, but we do have a Factor Fanfiction contest going on right now, which is the 40k Cross-Function Challenge, which is going to be you sending in your best/worst crossover fan fiction to us. So write some crossover fan fiction. It can be 40k and 40k. It can be 40k and Sonic the Hedgehog. It can be 40k and Crash Bandicoot. Who gives a shit? Just send us some crossover fan fiction to our email at contact@40kbadcast.com. Or you can just send us a good old how do you do with some pictures of pets, models, whatever the fuck. We hang out there. We check it every day. So get at us. Contact@40kbadcast.com.
I like it when you do the plugs.
Yeah, I figured I'd give you a break for a second.
All right, give us a quote.
Yeah, I always send us off with an inspirational quote that you can dwell upon and take with you and carry with you in your day-to-day life in these incredibly trying times. So, no man died in his service that died in vain.
You know what, Campbell, let's do it. Let's go out and die for the Emperor right now.
Fucking on it, way ahead of you.
All right, gang, we're the 40k Badcast. We're bad at 40k, and you can too. And we will see ya in the next cartoon.